Every empire faces the same question. Should a leader rule with mercy, winning love and admiration, or should he rule with ruthlessness, ensuring fear and obedience? Too much mercy breeds weakness. Too much cruelty creates rebellion. Today, we uncover the timeless truth Machiavelli whispered into the ears of princes. Does mercy build empires, or does ruthlessness create wealth? Welcome to Machiavelli's Mirror, where we strip away illusions and reveal the raw strategies of power. In this lesson, we dive into Machiavelli's philosophy, asking not what is moral, but what is effective. For in the game of power, success, not sentiment, is the ultimate law. Mercy, a word that drips with virtue, a quality praised by poets, preached by priests, and demanded by the masses. To the common man, a merciful ruler is the embodiment of justice, the beacon of hope. Mercy brings warmth to a cold throne, and it creates the illusion that power can wear a soft, gentle face. But Machiavelli tells us something the world would rather not hear. Mercy, if misused, can become a hidden poison, eroding authority from within the palace walls. Imagine a ruler who is merciful to every enemy, who forgives every slight, who spares every conspirator caught in the act of treachery. The people cheer his kindness, but in their hearts, they whisper something else: weakness. Because mercy, when given too freely, signals not strength but hesitation, and hesitation is blood in the water. It invites predators. It emboldens rivals. It tells the ambitious man at court that the throne is vulnerable, that disobedience will not be punished with fire, but with pardon. History reveals this truth with brutal clarity. Consider the Roman Emperor Augustus, who understood mercy as a stage performance. He extended clemency to his defeated enemies, yes, but not without calculation. His mercy was a weapon, wielded only when it served to bind men to his service, when it transformed rivals into allies under his control. Augustus knew that unchecked cruelty could spark rebellion, but he also knew that unchecked mercy could encourage defiance. His genius was in making mercy appear as a gift from a position of power, never as a substitute for it. But not every ruler mastered this balance. Let us look at the fate of King Henry VI of England, a ruler known for his soft heart and forgiving nature. Henry's mercy was legendary, but it became his undoing. He forgave his enemies, even when they betrayed him time and time again. His leniency was seen not as virtue, but as weakness. Nobles who should have feared him instead laughed at his fragility, and England descended into the chaos of the Wars of the Roses. His crown was lost, his empire fractured, and his mercy buried him beneath it. Mercy is dangerous because it creates an illusion for the ruler himself. It whispers to him that kindness will inspire loyalty, that clemency will win eternal gratitude. But gratitude is fleeting. Men are forgetful of favors, quick to turn against those who once spared them. A soldier forgiven for desertion will desert again. A courtier forgiven for conspiracy will conspire again. To believe otherwise is not mercy, it is self-deception. And in politics, self-deception is suicide. Yet do not mistake Machiavelli's wisdom as a call for cruelty alone. He warns that cruelty used without restraint creates hatred, and hatred is a fire that consumes kingdoms. The real secret is this: mercy must be rare, deliberate, and calculated. It must be shown not to relieve the ruler's conscience, but to strengthen his image. Mercy that appears as weakness invites destruction. Mercy that appears as power inspires loyalty. The difference lies not in the act itself, but in the timing, in the context, and in the perception of those who witness it. Consider the example of Cesare Borgia, a man who studied Machiavelli's principles not from books, but from life itself. When Caesar seized control of Romagna, the land was torn by chaos and corruption. He appointed a ruthless governor, Ramiro di Orco, to bring order through fear and punishment. Once stability was restored, Caesar had the governor executed in a public square. To the people, it appeared as an act of mercy, an end to cruelty. But in truth, it was a masterstroke of power. Cruelty had served its purpose, and mercy was used as theater to win the people's admiration. This is mercy as Machiavelli understood it, not weakness, but strategy. For the ruler, mercy is like wine. A small amount delights the people, warms their loyalty, and makes them believe their prince is humane. But too much wine dulls the senses, makes the ruler stumble, and leaves him unable to defend his throne. The wise leader pours mercy sparingly, savoring its effect, but never drowning himself in it. Mercy also serves another role. It shapes the reputation of a ruler across generations. A leader who is seen as merciful but firm earns a legacy of justice. A leader who is merciful without strength is remembered as weak, mocked by history. And history, as Machiavelli teaches us, is not written for saints, but for victors. Those who survive dictate the moral of the story, and they do so not by practicing endless mercy, but by knowing when to withhold it. So what is mercy then? It is neither purely virtue nor purely vice. It is a mask, a tool, a coin to be spent wisely. The ruler must give it only when it secures more than it costs. Mercy should never be the instinctive response of a kind heart. It should be the calculated move of a strategic mind. Mercy must always remind the people, I forgive you, not because I must, but because I choose. This distinction changes everything, for it keeps power in the ruler's hands, not in the hands of those who beg for his grace. Let us turn now to ruthlessness, a word that chills the heart, that summons visions of cruelty, blood, and iron-fisted rule. To the common mind, ruthlessness is evil, a stain on the conscience of a ruler. But Machiavelli does not see the world as common men do. He strips away illusions and asks, does it work? And when it comes to securing wealth, protecting kingdoms, and silencing rivals, ruthlessness, when used with calculation, is not a vice, but a necessity. Think for a moment about wealth itself. Gold, land, trade, and influence. These are not gentle possessions. They attract envy. They inspire rivals. They tempt even loyal subjects to betrayal. Wealth without protection is bait for the ambitious. Mercy alone cannot guard riches, for mercy opens doors. Mercy forgives debts. Mercy excuses theft. But ruthlessness closes doors. It warns every man that to touch the ruler's wealth is to sign his own death warrant. History proves that riches are never safe in gentle hands. Consider the Roman general Lucius Cornelius Sulla. His rise was not born of kindness but of ruthless resolve. When Rome was divided by civil war, Sulla seized power with decisive cruelty. He created proscription lists, public death warrants, executing enemies and confiscating their wealth. Brutal, yes, but effective. Through ruthlessness, he filled Rome's treasury, secured loyalty through fear, and re-established order. The Roman elite may have despised his name, but none dared to defy his rule while he lived. His cruelty purchased stability, something mercy could never have achieved in a fractured republic. Wealth is not only a matter of gold locked in vaults. It is also the wealth of loyalty, obedience, and order among the people. A ruler who tolerates disorder for the sake of appearing merciful will find his authority corroded. The people, though they may complain about severity, secretly admire the ruler who maintains order, for his strength protects their livelihood. And so, paradoxically, ruthlessness creates security, and security creates prosperity. Without fear of punishment, merchants cannot trade safely, soldiers cannot serve loyally, and peasants cannot harvest in peace. Take the example of the Ottoman sultans. When a new sultan ascended the throne, it was common practice to execute his brothers, preventing civil war and protecting the stability of the empire. To outsiders, this seemed barbaric. But within the empire, it meant one clear ruler, one undisputed authority, and one enduring dynasty. Ruthlessness preserved both wealth and empire. Mercy in such a situation would have invited constant rebellion, endless claimants, and the collapse of order. Machiavelli himself admired Cesare Borgia for his strategic ruthlessness. Cesare did not hesitate to strike when betrayal threatened him. He understood that hesitation was more dangerous than cruelty. In a single stroke, He could silence rivals, eliminate conspirators, and ensure that his subjects thought twice before lifting a hand against him. It was not that Caesar delighted in cruelty. No, he used it as a craftsman uses a chisel, shaping the destiny of his rule. Through decisive acts of ruthlessness, he secured not only wealth, but the very foundation of power itself. But here lies the subtleties. Machiavelli does not praise cruelty for cruelty's sake. Blind savagery breeds hatred, and hatred is a poison that no wealth can protect against. The art of ruthlessness is precision. It is the ability to strike swiftly, severely, and then to stop. A ruler who drags cruelty out endlessly becomes hated, and hatred unites even enemies against him. A ruler who uses ruthlessness like a surgeon's knife, cutting only when necessary, creates fear, but not rebellion. He ensures wealth is protected, power is respected, and his rule endures. Consider the city of Florence itself. For years, factions tore it apart. Leaders who tried to rule with mercy found themselves overthrown, their wealth seized by rivals. Those who ruled with ruthless strength restored stability and brought prosperity back to the city. Fear may not inspire affection, but it builds respect, and respect ensures obedience. A ruler who is feared does not have to beg for loyalty. His wealth is secured not by promises, but by power. Ruthlessness also plays another role: deterrence. When a ruler makes a single example of disobedience, it echoes through the entire realm. One noble executed for treachery warns 10 others never to attempt the same. One merchant punished for fraud ensures hundreds remain honest. One city sacked for rebellion ensures countless others remain obedient. In this way, a single ruthless act prevents countless future betrayals. And what is this, if not the most efficient form of mercy? For by punishing a few, the ruler spares the many from the chaos of unchecked disorder. Wealth thrives where order is strong, and order is never born from mercy alone. It requires a ruler's iron hand, willing to strike without hesitation. Mercy may comfort the people, but ruthlessness protects them. Mercy may forgive an enemy, but ruthlessness ensures that enemy never rises again. Mercy paints the ruler as noble, but ruthlessness ensures his throne is never stolen. So when we ask whether mercy or ruthlessness builds empires, the answer in wealth is clear: mercy may win admiration, but ruthlessness secures fortune. Mercy may write poems, but ruthlessness writes history. And the ruler who understands this does not shy away from decisive severity when the moment demands it. For in the treasury of power, mercy is a coin easily spent, but ruthlessness is the vault that guards it. Mercy alone invites weakness. Ruthlessness alone breeds hatred. The true genius of rulership, Machiavelli insists, lies not in choosing one over the other, but in mastering the balance between them. Power is not secured by extremes. It is secured by knowing when to show the soft hand of compassion and when to unsheathe the sword of fear. The ruler who leans too heavily on mercy risks being seen as indulgent, a man without the will to enforce his word. His laws become suggestions, his commands mere whispers in the wind. The ruler who clings too tightly to ruthlessness becomes despised, a tyrant whose every act fuels resentment until rebellion bursts forth like fire in dry grass. But the ruler who moves between the two, who offers mercy to inspire hope and ruthlessness to secure order, becomes unassailable. He becomes the figure both loved and feared, respected even by those who resent him. This is the balance of power. It is not a simple formula. It is an art. The art of timing, the art of perception, the art of striking the heart of men so that they obey not merely from duty, but from necessity. To command this balance is to command the very soul of an empire. Consider the actions of Julius Caesar. He was merciful to defeated enemies, granting them positions of honor and sparing their lives when they might have expected death. This mercy won him admiration and built his image as a magnanimous ruler. Yet when conspiracies arose, he did not hesitate to strike, crushing resistance swiftly and mercilessly. His combination of mercy and ruthlessness made him both adored by the people and feared by the Senate. It was not mercy alone that brought him power, nor cruelty alone, but the masterful dance between them. Machiavelli himself warns that a ruler must aim to be both loved and feared, but if forced to choose, fear is the safer foundation. Love is fickle, dependent on gratitude and shifting emotions. Fear is constant, anchored in the instinct for survival. Yet a ruler must avoid becoming hated, for hatred unites enemies and inspires rebellion. This is where balance emerges: inspire loyalty with mercy, enforce obedience with ruthlessness, but never allow either to slip into extremes that destroy the delicate equilibrium of power. Balance also depends on perception. A ruler may perform an act of mercy, but it must not appear as weakness. It must appear as strength. To forgive must look like a deliberate choice, not a concession. A ruler may commit an act of cruelty, but it must not appear as savagery. It must appear as justice. To punish must look like the protection of order, not the satisfaction of bloodlust. The people do not merely respond to what a ruler does. They respond to how it appears. Thus, power is sustained not just by action, but by the theater of action. Look at the reign of Elizabeth I of England. She understood this balance with extraordinary precision. She extended mercy to religious rivals when it served her, projecting tolerance to maintain stability. But when plots against her throne threatened the kingdom, she struck with ruthless certainty, executing conspirators and rivals without hesitation. Her subjects admired her mercy, but they also feared her justice. This combination preserved her reign for decades, ensuring both stability and prosperity. A ruler who fails to master this balance falls into ruin. Too merciful, and he becomes Henry VI, a king deposed for his softness. Too ruthless, and he becomes Caligula, assassinated by those who could no longer bear his tyranny. The middle path is not weakness, it is mastery. It requires discipline, foresight, and the ability to silence personal feelings. A ruler must not forgive because his heart aches, nor kill because his anger burns. He must act as the physician of power, prescribing mercy when it heals and ruthlessness when it cauterizes. This balance extends beyond the throne into every sphere of power. In war, a general must show mercy to inspire loyalty among conquered peoples, but ruthlessness to deter rebellion. In law, a ruler must grant pardons to demonstrate fairness, but enforce punishments to maintain order. In wealth, he must forgive debts when it secures stability, but seize property when it threatens his authority. Mercy and ruthlessness are not opposites. They are instruments, like the strings of a lute, each producing a sound, but together creating harmony. The ruler who achieves this harmony becomes more than a man. He becomes a force of nature. His subjects cannot predict him entirely, for he is both generous and severe. They admire him for his mercy, but they respect him for his ruthlessness. They do not know whether they will be embraced or punished, and this uncertainty keeps them cautious, loyal, and obedient. To master the balance of power is to command both the hearts and the fears of men. So what is the true secret? The secret is not in being merciful or ruthless, but in knowing the precise moment to be either. Mercy is most powerful when men expect cruelty, for it surprises and binds them with gratitude. Ruthlessness is most effective when men expect mercy, for it shocks them into submission. The ruler who can shift between these two forces as the moment demands does not merely rule. He dominates. He shapes the destiny of nations, and he leaves behind not just an empire, but a legacy carved into history. Machiavelli's truth does not flatter the ears. It does not promise comfort, nor does it offer the sweet illusion that goodness alone builds empires. His truth is raw, unvarnished, and unyielding. It tells us that power is not secured by morality but by strategy. Mercy and ruthlessness are not virtues and vices. They are instruments. They are tools in the ruler's hands to be sharpened or sheathed, depending on the needs of the moment. To confuse them as matters of personal goodness or evil is to misunderstand the very foundation of power. Empires rise and fall not because rulers are merciful or cruel, but because rulers understand. or fail to understand how to wield both. Mercy is a tool of influence, ruthlessness a weapon of security. The truth is that neither builds an empire on its own. Together, wielded with precision, they create the structure of power that endures beyond the lifetime of any man. This is Machiavelli's truth. The empire is not a temple of virtue. It is a fortress of survival. Consider Alexander the Great. He extended mercy to conquered soldiers, drawing them into his army, binding them to his cause, making them loyal by inclusion rather than exclusion. Yet, when cities resisted, he unleashed ruthless devastation, burning them to ash and making an example of those who dared defy him. The combination was irresistible. Mercy made his empire admired, ruthlessness made it unchallenged. His genius lay not in choosing one, but in mastering both. This truth unsettles the human heart, because men want rulers to be saints, even though they follow rulers who act like wolves. The people cry for mercy. They demand justice, but in their secret hearts they respect strength. They may curse a ruler for his ruthlessness, but they sleep safely under the order he creates. They may cheer for his mercy, but if it breeds chaos, they will abandon him in an instant. Machiavelli teaches us to look not at what men say, but at what they do. And what they do is this: they praise mercy with their lips, but they obey ruthlessness with their actions. The truth also strips bare the illusions of morality. Many rulers believed they were overthrown because they were too cruel, when in fact they were destroyed because they did not know how to use cruelty correctly. Others believed they lost power because they were too merciful, when in reality they failed because their mercy was perceived as weakness. Machiavelli does not argue that one should be evil, nor does he argue that one should be good. He argues that the ruler must be effective, and effectiveness is judged not by intentions but by results. Look at Louis XVI of France, called the Spider King. He was not bound by the morality of his age. He deceived when he had to, struck without hesitation when he needed to, and granted mercy when it served his ends. He was feared and hated by many nobles, but he died with his crown intact and his kingdom stronger than he found it. Compare him to rulers like Edward Tivy of England, who ruled with softness, misplaced mercy, and weakness. Edward was overthrown by his own wife and her lover, humiliated and destroyed. The difference lies not in virtue, but in Machiavelli's truth. Power belongs to those who know how to wield the instruments of mercy and ruthlessness with precision. This truth is timeless. In business, in politics, in war, and in personal life, those who rely only on kindness are exploited, and those who rely only on cruelty are despised. The ones who succeed are those who know when to show an open hand and when to close a fist. They understand that human nature does not change. Men desire mercy, but they obey force. To build anything lasting, whether an empire or a dynasty, one must embrace the harsh reality that effectiveness matters more than morality. Machiavelli does not offer this truth as an excuse for cruelty or a condemnation of mercy. He offers it as clarity so that rulers may see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. For what is worse, a ruler who clings to illusions and loses his throne, or a ruler who embraces reality and preserves his people? The harsh answer, Machiavelli tells us, is that survival must come before sentiment. For only the ruler who survives can govern, and only the empire that endures can leave behind a legacy. The ultimate truth is this: empires are not built by saints or demons. They are built by men who understand that power is a craft. Mercy is a paintbrush. Ruthlessness is a hammer. One without the other leaves the work unfinished, fragile and easily broken. Together, they create a structure strong enough to withstand the storms of time. The wise ruler does not ask, "Should I be merciful or ruthless?" He asks instead, "What does the moment demand?" And he acts not with his heart, but with his calculation. So what do we learn from the clash between mercy and ruthlessness? That neither alone sustains a throne. Mercy softens the edges of power, but if given too freely, it dissolves authority. Ruthlessness secures wealth and order, but if wielded without restraint, it breeds hatred. The ruler's task is not to choose one path, but to command both with precision. Mercy as the mask of humanity, ruthlessness as the backbone of survival. Machiavelli's truth is simple. Though harsh power does not bow to morality, it bows to effectiveness. Those who know when to extend the open hand and when to strike with the closed fist carve empires that last. Those who cling to illusions of goodness or drown in cruelty alone are swept away by history. Every man who seeks to rule, whether an empire, a household, or his own destiny, must remember survival is the law, strategy is the weapon, and the balance of mercy and ruthlessness is the art by which empires are built.